All right, today is going to be a great day. Short night of sleep. I was up late working on a proposal for my meeting today. So, meeting with a professor here at Purdue who he was a hobbyist greenhouse grower and professor here in biology, I think. But it's a funny story. I was golfing and I was driving out from Purdue to this town called Battleground, and I passed by this farm that had these massive greenhouses on it. Passed by there several times, and it didn't look like they were going to be used or had been used in a couple years. And so one day I stopped in, and they weren't there. I left a note, said, "Hey, say my name, left my number." And I said, "Hey, if you guys are interested, we're looking to get in the greenhouse business. And if you guys would want to sell, we'd be interested." Just kind of perking interest, seeing if that's even like an option for him. Well, he called me and he said he's very interested. He's been wanting to get out of it. He hasn't used it in a couple years. He's ready to sell. So that's what we're going to do. We're meeting. We had an initial meeting, and now we've kind of talked through some numbers, emailed some stuff. Now I'm bringing him a proposal of sale. And so kind of the structure of the deal breaks down like this. So we're buying his hoop house greenhouses. He's got about 100,000 square feet of greenhouse space that initially was worth about 120,000 that he paid about 10 years ago. And he's willing to sell for about $55,000, which is an 8% depreciation on the asset, which is a very, very reasonable depreciation rate. Follows very closely to industry standards. And so we're kind of structuring that way. And what we're going to do is he is interested and okay with, we're doing a seller's note. So we're negotiating a seller's note of on the 50,000. So sale price of 55. We're going to do a $5,000 cash up front and then amortize 50,000 over the next 5 years. That brings our payment just under $1,000 a month. We'll be able to cash flow that really quickly, and then it'll start paying that plus some, and I think we'll be in a really good position. And then at 2 years, we have an option for a bubble payment. So we basically pay the $988 is what the monthly payment is for 2 years, 24 months, and then that 25th month, we have the option, but not the obligation to pay it off, which would be $31,000 at that point. And that just like closes out the deal. Or if we're like, well, we want to keeping this at a minimal cash flow or minimal expense, we can just ride it out at the $988 for the 5 years. We'll be good. Oh, about ran into someone walking on the road. But so the structure of the greenhouses, once we get them back to burn, we have to deconstruct them, ship them with semis back to burn, and set them back up. But we will have them set up by mid-March, stock them with landscape plants, and begin to have the ability to sell and grow nursery products within 4 months from now. And what that does for us is it saves a ton of money for us as a landscape construction company. It cuts out the middlemen of working with a greenhouse wholesaler. This basically, we're now a greenhouse wholesaler, where we will then work with massive growers, bring in large amounts, be able to store large amounts of plants that we can get way cheaper with less delivery fees, and then store them over time instead of getting smaller deliveries of plants from local wholesalers. And then we can then begin to act as local wholesalers to other companies. And that will begin another cash flow that will then pay. But yeah, so what it basically does is we will be cutting out middlemen, cutting out delivery fees, and then having the option to start cash flowing a wholesale nursery and then a retail nursery soon enough. But we have a kind of a long-term plan with the greenhouses, and that is, well, I mean, we're looking on like a 20 to 50 year scale with the greenhouses. This is a very beginning step that will lead to a lot of growth. So we also structure this, is really interesting. We structured it as a separate LLC. So we have Wilson Brothers Lawn and Landscape, and then we just started Wilson Brothers Horticulture, which will be what this whole purchase is running through. WB Horticulture will be all greenhouse related, wholesale nursery products, growing of plants, all of that. And so when Wilson Brothers wants to buy plants, we buy it from WB Horticulture, which is our own company. And so then that creates paper trails that it creates revenue for two different ways, and we're not losing money, but then we're also creating two separate valuable entities, and then splits risk, splits liability. And I think the other part of the greenhouses is we're going to have to get a lot more investment. So we buy these, which will be at $55,000. To get them to where they are fully cash flowing, fully operational year-round, growing in the winter, whatever, it's be another $300,000 to $400,000, which is fine, because once it's fully operational, revenue will be about a 1.2 to 1.3. Usually in greenhouses, when you add in all of the year's crops, you should be revenuing between $20 to $25 per square foot on a greenhouse. So we're getting about 100 square feet. Do the math. What was I gonna say? But so the reason we're separating is we're probably gonna have to get investment into it of cash flow, or of cash, and that might take some equity stake from investors, and we want to have that separate from our current company, just so that those aren't mixed. I'm going into this meeting, and I will possibly record some of it, and then I'm going to do an interview with him, potentially, if he's available, and we'll go from there. Well, the meeting went well, except he threw a curveball. He does not want to he does not want to seller finance anymore. He wants us to fully fund it through a bank or external, pay the full amount up front. And so it's a little bit of a curveball. We're going to spend the next 2 weeks looking for funding. So that's kind of an update on that meeting.